right. Let's call this May 7th Board of Education work session to order. Deb, could you take roll?
Mr. Evans?
Here.
Mr. Grozen?
Here.
Mrs. Ludwig? Here. Mr. Micko?
Here.
Mr. Naso?
Here. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
District goals. We'll just restate our goals tonight. We've got, of course, we always have student achievement, which is our main focus, and it's followed up by financial prudence. And every decision that we make at this board meeting will support those two goals. If it doesn't, it gets voted down. Next item is public comment. We don't have any. Next would be the treasurer's report. Deb?
Thank you, Mr. Naso. As I spoke at the last meeting, usually it's the second meeting in May that we have the board approve the 5-year forecast. And previous years, I've done an in-depth review at that meeting, but since that's a meeting where we honor retirees, I thought I'd go through it tonight, and then if there are any questions, we can make some adjustments, and then I won't take up so much time when we have so many of our loyal employees that are coming to us with their retirement. I've taken the 5-year forecast and broke it into the revenue, the expenditures, and the cash position sections to review because the document has so many numbers crammed in on it. There's good news and bad news in the revenue section. The bad news is our actual tax receipts and real property taxes for this fiscal year are $1.8 million less than last year. That's going to be due to a combination of less people are paying their taxes current, and we have had a lot of border revision cases where property owners have appealed their values, and once it's decided and we come to an agreement on a value, sometimes they're owed refunds if they paid based on their higher value. There's been a lot of changes in the personnel down at the county fiscal office, and the person that handled our revenue estimates has left, and one person is doing the county, and I haven't been able to drill down and find out how much delinquencies have changed and how much might be from Board of Revision refunds. So that number is down. Last year our taxes were $49,171,000. This year they're going to be $47,352,000, and I've carried through the estimate of $47,400 for the next 2 years. The 18 and 19 numbers go down because of the renewal levy. According to the state, when you don't have the renewal already done, you need to deduct it off of line 1 and then down at line 11 at the end. You'll see that we put the renewal in there, so the bottom line cash is where that shows. Some of the good items that we have is the tax abatement and TIF money from the city is at $9,142,000. That is $900,000 higher than it was this year. So we'll need to look into what other TIF money might be coming in the future, but I've kept that number basically the same. We will be seeing an increase in revenue due to tuition next year because we're adding a 5th section of kindergarten. That'll be another $50,000 in tuition coming in from there. And also our student fees are getting better. At the beginning of the second semester, we had over $200,000 in unpaid student fees, and now we're down to about $125,000, I think was the number I sent in the email. So that's getting people's attention. Last year we only collected $35,000 in unpaid student fees from previous years. This year we're at $111,000. So we are getting people's attention to you cut off their access to the grades. It's amazing what people will do to get that taken care of. So as I review the tax collection, the abatement, the 123, and then the kindergarten there. On expenditures. That we will see some significant variations in salaries and benefits over the next few years. Next year, based on the number of teachers that are retiring, and when teachers retire, they're always at the top of the pay scale. and they're replaced by teachers that are maybe anywhere from BA 0, they just graduated, or maybe their third or fourth year of working. But Mr. Ryba's office is estimated we'll be saving $1.2 million for the replacements of those teachers. We also will be closing Zellers Elementary at the end of this school year. Next year we'll be closing Drake, and due to the declining enrollment of students, we're looking at reducing 11 teaching positions, and 18.5 and 19.9 teaching positions. And with all those reductions, I have factored in the steps columns and a cost of living increase. And this year, our salaries are $40,177,000. Next year, it'll be $39,791,000. So we'll actually see a drop for that year, and then it'll start ticking up again in 17 and 18 with the pay raises. Some of the other assumptions that are built into the expenditures: healthcare, I'm assuming at a 10% increase. Purchase services, that's our gas, electric, diesel fuel, tuition for students attending out of districts, some special ed services, materials and supplies, our textbooks, copying paper, pencils, dry erase markers, all the things that we need to use in the classroom and in the offices. And then I'm also assuming a level amount for capital equipment. This year we're at $602,000 budgeted, and I put $600,000 going across the board. And unfortunately, that is not enough to meet the growing demands that we have for technology. And I think it would behoove the board to look in future years that you could get a permanent improvement levy, that under state law you can have permanent improvement levies approved to purchase anything that lasts more than 5 years, and we've typically used it for buses and some roofs, parking lots, but now you could use it for computers, because we have kept computers more than 5 years, even though out in the private sector you might update them every 3 years. We have people that have laptops that are 8 years old. We just update the software and give them more memory and RAM and things like that. Year-end balances. This does not look pretty, but because we have a beginning of the year balance, we started June as of July 1st with $7,217,000, even though we anticipate spending close to $500,000 more than what we're bringing in for current year revenue versus expenditures, because we have a significant cash balance that will carry us forward. You look at with the changes that we have in personnel and that, our cash balance starts to dip down, and the top line, 601, that is showing the difference between current year revenue versus current year expenditures. And our cash balance will carry us through until 2017, but beginning of 2018, that's a critical year, because by the end of November of 2017 would be the last time to put on the ballot the renewal levy. And this 3764 is a half-year collection. You vote on it in November, we would get a half-year collection, and then the subsequent school year in 19, we get a full year of collection. And unfortunately, even with the renewal, we will still have a deficit. Unfortunately, when I was working on the forecast about a week and a half ago, I went to Mr. Ryba and said, I think we're going to have a balance through 2018, and then I looked at what our actual real estate revenue was, and the fact that it's down $1.8 million, that does not bode well. But it could be that next fiscal year it could go back up and that deficit might be erased. But I would say at this point in time, because we are making such significant changes in staffing, we don't have an exorbitant capital improvement budget. Our materials and supplies is basically basic needs. I don't think that there's anything as a knee-jerk reaction the district should take in the next year and wait and see what happens. But getting that levy on in 2017 is very critical. So when the year cash balance goes, if the deficit does not go away, the district would need to cut either $1 million a year over a 2-year period. And even once that deficit is eliminated, you can see that if we get rid of this $2,182,000, that's still going to have a $7 million balance in 2019. And the last year the district approved new money was 2006, Mr. Krupinski?
2007.
So that'll be more than a 10-year cycle of not asking the taxpayers for new money. And typically it does schools go every 3 to 4 years. So I think the combination of our reductions due to declining enrollments has helped stretch the levy money over longer years than typical for most school districts.
Deb,
Yep. Go ahead.
if I look at the purchase services, and I know that your assumption on purchase services is what, 10%?
5%.
5%. But when I look at it compared to 2014, 2014, which isn't on the slides you have
Right.
here, but it's on the ones you sent us, it's $5.6 million. And then it goes up in here to 7.5, which is was that a $1.8 million increase in 33%. But then if I look at 14, it seems to be down from 13. So is there something funky that's going, is there something?
In 13, we had the teacher strike, and the purchase services was
Okay.
way up in 13 to cover
Okay.
security
all that good
and those
So-
services.
So
and
forgetting
that.
about 13, which I should never forget.
13's an anomaly.
Okay, then it would mean that 14 was probably good, because 14 compares to 12, relatively speaking.
Right.
But there's a huge increase from 14 to 15 in there.
Special education services.
For
you
like
know,
$1 million?
nursing- Nursing services, district students that have been placed out of district. We have, that includes like our community school deduction. I think our students in community schools has gone up by several $100,000. I think we're going to break $1 million deduction in that this year compared to previous years. And charter schools, all of that money that comes straight off of our state foundation is a purchase service out of that line item. So between special ed and the state foundation deductions that we have no say-so in, you know, someone goes to a digital academy, they take the money out.
For the next meeting, could I get like
What the purchase
what the
services are?
purchase
Yep.
services were in 14 by line and 15 by line?
Sure.
And just line that out so we could see what that, because that seems to be the biggest jumper.
Yep,
Deb,
Mr. Gross.
does this summarize what the governor is, the talk is obviously that the governor wanted to pull a couple million out of our budget. This does not indicate that.
No.
As the bill currently holds us harmless. But in talking with Mr. Micko, you can probably explain this a little bit better for us, there's a very good chance that
TPP.
money will go away in 2 years. So not only do we have to worry about a $2 million deficit, then a 9.7 deficit in 2019, that might be an additional $2,000 above that.
Right.
Correct?
When they
$2
first
million.
passed the TPP, it was supposed to grandfather out as of 2018, and in the governor's proposal, we would have lost $1.3 million in 16 and 17, and it would be gone. I think a couple $100,000 would be left in 18, but it is still a possibility that it could be gone in 18, and that would then add to the deficit, which would probably then force the district's hand in having to ask for a new levy even sooner than, maybe even before the renewal levy, in order to keep the ship afloat.
There's been a possibility for the last
Right.
4 years or so that could go away, and I think every time they've made accommodations for it, but maybe one day we'll.
Well, I, from everything I've been reading and hearing, I don't really believe that they're going to be able to get a budget bill done by June 30th. The budget director, Mr. Keene, seems to be quite irritated at the House on them deviating from the governor's proposal. The Senate's coming up with their own proposal, so then that joint committee to do the budget, that could be,
Lengthy.
yeah, that could be ugly to see what happens and all of that. So that's the most I
we're
know.
very much still at rest, right, Deb?
Yes, we are.
Thank
Yes,
you.
we are. I'm going to go back to.
So keep those cards and letters going to the state senator.
The other item I have on the agenda is a tax rate resolution. That is an exhibit in the board, and as I was saying that they have less people at the county board office, you can see that on page 2 of 4 of Exhibit A, they have our general fund millage listed under sinking fund, which is like another form of bond retirement. Our bond retirement is $3 million. Our general fund inside millage is 5.6. Our voted outside millage is 72.16, so that's really like 2 lines above where it should be, and then we have our PI levy. So I will send a letter to the county auditor's office to let them know that this is inaccurate that they sent to us. They need to make a correction on it, and I would assume that if I note that in a letter to them, we wouldn't need to vote on it again. So I need a separate motion and a second on that.
Can I have a motion?
I move.
Thank you, Jane.
Second.
Thank you, George. Second by George. Any discussion? No, take the vote.
Mr. Micko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Grozen?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you, Deb. That brings us to item number 7, Superintendent's Report, timely information.
Thank you, Mr. Naso. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Strongsville Education Foundation. They did a wonderful job, and I believe Brian Jungenberg was one of the chairs of that event. So I congratulate him and all of the foundation. They put on a great event this past Saturday, Jockeys and Juleps, which connected to the Kentucky Derby. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend because the horses may have been flying across the track in the Kentucky Derby and on the screen. My granddaughter was flying across her high school stage as Mary Poppins, so I needed to be there. But I congratulate them for the great job that they did on that event. I also would like to say that upcoming on Saturday, June 6th, the Pat Catan Craft Centers and Rotary Club of Strongsville will be having the Kids Fest. This is a free event at the Cleveland Metro Parks Chalet. It's also known as the Duck Race. It will be at the Cleveland Metro Parks Natural Tracks. There will be pony rides, face paintings, inflatables, food, and much more. It's all free. The ducks will launch at 2 p.m. The race will finish at the Cleveland Metro Park Chalet. You can adopt a duck for $10 or a flock of them, at 3 of them, for $20. Prizes for the top 10 finishers in that duck race. What's important, however, is that the proceeds will benefit the Cleveland Metro Parks, wintergreen cabin renovation, and other Rotary projects. You can find information about this on strongsvilleduckrace.com. I will say it's another one of those examples of almost 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. My wife was a Girl Scout troop leader, and I remember when my daughter was probably about 7 or 8 years old and my son was about 3, and they went to the wintergreen cabin, which at that time was still functional, and now they're renovating it. It was a great facility. And I just remember one thing. My 3-year-old son came home looking like, was it Linus and Snoopy? It was all kind of beat up and muddy. He looked like a trip. We just took him to the shower and cleaned him up for the next day. It's a great event. Don't miss it. It is, again, Saturday, June 6th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., Cleveland Metro Parks. Also, at today's PTA Council luncheon, they honored Mary Marconi, Secretary at Drake, for the Helping Hands Award, and they also honored Mike Rodak, Strongsville High School Connections Program, with the Outstanding District Educator Award. So congratulations to Mary and to Michael. Mr. Ryba is going to speak about Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, back to the time when I was principal at Zellers in 1998, and they had one of those places in the food court at the mall. They've now expanded, obviously. They were very supportive. We had reading programs, and they always provided coupons for sandwiches, and they have continued to be an important partner for us in our district over all of these years. So, Cameron, would you speak to that?
Sure. Just want to make mention, last week I was talking with Brian Wellman from Chick-fil-A and looking at all of the different opportunities and partnerships we've had, whether it be with our music boosters or with our athletic competitions, and continuing to look at how we can expand the opportunities. And in our conversation, he shared with me that Chick-fil-A also provides a service to school lunch programs that meet the federal food guidelines. So Darcy from Chick-fil-A was nice enough to bring some sample food for us tonight. So anybody in the audience that would like to take, there's a wrap, some fruit, some cookies there. So please help yourself. But this would be as in food services where sometimes we have, a pizza company that we would bring in the past. Chick-fil-A has developed a menu Now, I know Darcy told me there's cheese on the wraps, which is not allowed. So other than that, they are fully comply with the guidelines. So as an option, if we would like to look at is bringing Chick-fil-A as a special day for our food service program. So board members and audience members, please, before you leave, grab a wrap, grab a snack, and help yourself to the options that Chick-fil-A could provide to our district.
Thank you, Cameron. Under timely information, we have the revised school calendar for 2015-16 school year. This calendar has more scrutiny than any calendar I can recall in recent history. But here it is, finally, for approval of the Board of Education. So, Deb, we need approval under revised school calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Duke and George. Any discussion on the calendar? Been a lot. There's been a lot of discussion on the calendar.
Yes, there has been adequate discussion.
I think we've discussed it ad nauseum.
And understand that it's important for all the parents and everybody to understand, this is because we need that gap. We're putting
Right.
2 middle schools and all those kids and teachers and programs and employees into one brand new building. So when you see the first day of school being August 12th, I think my 9-year-old's gonna have a problem with that, Cameron, just so you know.
Yeah.
But we're doing the best we can for what we've got, so.
Deal. Deb, take roll.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Micko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Mr. Grozen?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Under Business Services and Technology, I'd ask Mark to come up. Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Krupinski. Tonight, under Business Services Technology, on the agenda, we have one item. However, there is an addendum, the green sheet that was with the board agendas. And I do have an announcement I want to make regarding our construction real quick. We are working with our construction manager, Hammond Construction, to have a public walkthrough of the middle school construction. It'll be a limited access walkthrough because there are safety concerns. But we're shooting for Wednesday, May 20th, from 4 o'clock to 6:30 that evening. The construction manager, Hammond, will have additional details we'll post to our website. But we're inviting the public out to see the progress we've made so far at the middle school. Hopefully, you can see the administrative areas, the kitchen area, the gym, some locker rooms. I'm not sure exactly what will be available, but they are working on plans for that right now. Wednesday, May 20th. We're praying for good weather. So they will try to provide access so people, they'll stone a walkway if they have to. But we just want to let people know that, hey, we are making progress. Want to see people out there. Have a look.
Did you say May 20th?
May 20th, Wednesday evening from 4 to 6:30.
And we're inviting everybody. I mean, this
Yes.
is a community building. I mean, the auditorium, the gym's gonna be shared through the entire community if you have kids or you don't. This is the taxpayers' investment. This is the taxpayers' building. So please come out and just take a quick peek. Like Mark said, it is gonna be limited. I mean, it's a construction site, but wait till you walk into that gym and see the size of it and the quality of that building.
Thank you. Item number 1, under Business Services Technology, we have a phone server replacement and software upgrade. As a result of a tech audit we had done this last winter, they recommended upgrading our phone system. The Exhibit C, the very end of the board agenda tonight, the last page, you'll see the different quotes, different proposals we got from different vendors. And we're recommending, obviously the vendor here in the resolution, MCPC is our vendor to replace the phone system. It's not all the phone handsets, it's not all the pieces and parts, it's the main guts of the system, the server, what they call the subscriber and publisher, the main pieces of the phone system, along with the call manager, IP seller, call manager. But it's the stuff we need to keep our phone system active right now. What we have, the equipment is end of life, and we need to replace our phone system. So the resolution reads, be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education approve MCPC as a vendor to replace hardware and software components of the district phone system as quoted at the quoted price of $159,510.09. Funding to be from 001-2960-640 Technology New Equipment.
I do have a motion.
Yes, you do?
Second.
First by George, second by Duke. Any discussion?
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
So I just wanted to go over a couple things because I worked with Paul and Mark on the process. We did get 3 quotes. MCPC has a good reputation within our area and in Northeast Ohio. All 3 companies could have done the job well. MCPC was the most cost-effective, most competitive. $160,000 is a lot of money. It buys us the peace of mind. The current phone system, if it would die, if it would break, we don't have an effective way to get that fixed. So the hardware and the software in this gives us that ability that if it would die, and computers do die, we have an effective way to get it fixed. The reality of it is by replacing it, just like when you replace a car, it's that much more reliable. You have that period of time where you're not concerned with it malfunctioning. The one thing I was going to highlight, because it kind of ties into Deb's discussion on the 5-year forecast, this quote has 3 years of what's known as SmartNet, which is just a extended warranty. It allows us to go back to Cisco for 3 years if there's a problem to get their help with fixing it, because although it's a phone system, it's a glorified computer. But it's only for 3 years, and we need to start having those discussions about proper budgeting for technology. Technology was one of the things that the district pulled back on in a hard and fast way to get through our financial difficulties of the last 6 years, 7 years, what have you. So in one way, we're at a position where we can start to look at increasing that budget, but like we always say, it has to be financially prudent. But this purchase does represent the consequence of pulling back so drastically on technology for such a long period of time. And so I know next school year we're going to want to do some work, and I know with Cameron's leadership we already are, to start identifying what kinds of technology we have now, what we need to do to bring forward, and instead of constantly just playing ping pong from one problem to the next, have a plan for the district that will budget and invest properly in technology. And that's it.
Mr. Nason. First of all, good that we started working on those recommendations within 6 months of getting that study. And my second question would be, how are we doing on the rest of recommendations that were in that study? Some of the cleanup type items.
Yeah, the Active Directory cleanup, a big chunk of that has already been done. The server migration piece has to wait until summertime so we can take the local elementary school and middle school servers offline and put them on VMware, and we'll have our one main server here. But that we have a plan and a process figured out for that, because we had available funds within the tech budget to handle that piece with our what we call our block hours with BPI Ohio. We're able to handle that with current funding, and the plan is already set to happen during June. Basically, I believe most schools won't even know it's happened, but it will be a better system as we go from 2003 servers up to 2012 VMware. So we are.
Okay. The main server is in this building?
Yes.
Any idea of moving it to the new middle school?
Oh, obviously, the new middle school, there is a piece of the middle school, 1,500 square feet, called the Network Operations Center, or NOC for short. That is, the technology headquarters will be in the new middle school. It'll be our most 21st century, most modern building. It only makes sense to put our technology department right there.
When are we moving this stuff?
Obviously, about next May or so, depends on when the building comes online.
All right. Thank you, Mark.
And Mark, we also updated our filtering system to allow more user-friendly access for our students and staff. So that's been a big upgrade and a welcome addition from our teachers as well.
Yeah, Paul instituted, and I'm going to get this wrong. He got rid of the M86 filter.
It's a light speed filter.
Light speed filter, right. And actually, I was talking with we had a tech meeting this morning. Our tech aides were saying that light speed filter does some wonderful things. It won't allow teachers and staff to go to places they shouldn't because of malware that's on their computer. And I don't know the specifics, but Rich was telling me a lot of times when they go in to check the computers, they have anywhere from 75 to 300 hits on sites that shouldn't be going to. But with the new filter, there's only like 12 or 10 of these because the system, the new filter is blocking all that and will not allow them to go to those sites to pick up more malware. I guess that's the way malware works. It gets on there and it keeps searching out more additional things that go out and load onto your computer that shouldn't. But our new filter is preventing most of that. So it's big benefit to our tech aides who don't have to spend an hour and a half fixing and cleaning up a computer. They can spend 10 minutes. It's productive for us.
Good job.
Thank you. To piggyback off of what Richard was saying, we've got to find a way to make our technology investment that came from the bond issue sustainable. So we have to find that, those are table stakes now, and we have to get those in. We have to find a way to save money in other places so we can put it in the right places, and that's some of the reasons why we elected to close down Zellers and Chapman and reduce our footprint ultimately by 6 or 7 buildings so that we can then take those fixed costs and put them where they can be better used, and that's on the technology side. So although some of it may not be going to fall right to, it's not going to fall to the bottom line, it's going to be essentially reclassed into the technology area, and we just need to build off of that to make sure that our students are best prepared they can be when they leave Strongsville City Schools.
And that's not just our opinion. I mean, look what the Strongsville Educational Foundation is doing. You know, they're doing fundraisers just to get Chromebooks in the hands of the kids in our community, in our high schools. So you're right, it's table stakes. It's not an option anymore.
Yep. Any more discussion on the, how about a vote?
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Micko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Grozen?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And the second item,
Oh,
the
yeah.
addendum I mentioned earlier, under Business Services Technology, we have to tell the state, we have to declare to the state by resolution of the board that we want to partake in the bid that the Ohio Department of Transportation does for road salt. They just posted it to their website on May 1st last week. We have to have a resolution. Our only board meeting is tonight. That's why this is being an addendum to the agenda. It simply allows us to buy at the bid price, and the bid is still to go out. It's not been let yet, and that number goes up and down based on the year and supplies. One year it was $29 a ton. Last year it was around $51 a ton. Goes up and down. But anyway, this resolution here is simply allowing us to submit to the state our intent to be part of that bid and allow us to take advantage of that direct purchasing. So anyway, the resolution of intent to participate in the winter use contract for Ohio Department of Transportation Cooperative Purchasing Program for sodium chloride, rock salt. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Director of Business Services and Technology enters into an agreement between the Strongsville City Schools and the Ohio Department of Transportation for bidding purposes for sodium chloride, rock salt. The contract effective date begins October 1st, 2015, terminates April 30th, 2016.
Excellent.
That's part of the consent calendar.
Consent calendar.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
And unless there's further questions, that's it for Business Services.
We're good?
Thank you.
I want to thank you, Mark, and I also, this improved weather has been really beneficial to our construction of the middle school. Each day, as I walk back and take a look at it, I'm amazed at how much they've accomplished in a day, and in 3 days, and in a week, as this hopefully will continue without any major storms and so forth. It's going to be awesome. Again, I would request that the public take a look on our website. We still have pictures of that construction site, and looking forward to that May 20th walkthrough for the what is currently available at the middle school. It's going to be a fantastic facility, and the benefactors will be our students and staff and teachers. Under Human Resources, Cameron?
Well, we only have one item for your consideration tonight, and we have the retirement of 21 wonderful non-certificated staff members that are to become effective June 30th. And as we've said in past retirements, we'll be recognizing all of these individuals at our next meeting on May 21st. So that is it for Human Resources.
I would ask all of our retirees, whether they be certified or classified, to please consider coming to the May 21st meeting. I've been working on some great comments about each and every one of you, so please come. If you cannot come, I will personally try to get my comments to you before the end of the school year. I also would like to commend Jackie Segan and the students of Chapman. She is the art teacher at Chapman Elementary School, and once again this month, Chapman's art is being highlighted in our boardroom. And I congratulate all the students and Jackie for motivating them to do their best effort. And I know one thing, I could not do what they have done, so I congratulate them. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, John. That brings us to consent calendar, actually. All action by the board is adopted by the consent calendar by a single vote. We have one addendum to the consent calendar, that's an addendum 7B2 for the road salt. We have to add that on there. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, George.
Second.
Thank you, Jane. Any discussion? Can we have a vote?
Mr. Micko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Grozen?
Yes.
All right, motion carries. That brings us to the Board of Education Other. Before we get to that item, does anybody, we have one item listed, does anybody have any other items? I just want to mention that we got notification this week from Vicki Turner, and I think we'll be looking forward to a presentation on that in the Believe in Ohio
Believe in Ohio,
program.
yes.
But just as a little preload, we've got, we received $87,500 worth of scholarships out of that program for our students who competed and won and did extremely well. So I'm sure we're going to get a full presentation on that shortly.
Yes.
Excellent.
Perhaps at the June work session.
Excellent. I also just want to make a mention on the, as the state budget works through the House, you know, Richard and I both went down and testified, but Jane went down, Cameron went down. I mean, this was a board, it started from actually from Duke and George getting pretty fired up at the first board meeting when we heard it. And it just blew through the whole team, and everybody just did an outstanding job, this entire board and administration, with we're not done, the fight's not over. We also got a lot of support from Galen, our communication specialist, who kept us appraised of all the timing of all the events and all the testimony. So that was a big help from her, and we appreciate that. But this board rallied, and we just got to keep the pressure on. But you know, it was a group effort. It was a true group effort, and we're going to keep it going until we get there. So that's all I have for other.
Just to make mention of the Board Facilities Development Committee meeting is going to be on the 20th, day before the next board meeting. It's at 7 o'clock, and we're going to be having a very important topic, our last conversation about what's going to happen with Zellers. So it's an important discussion we're going to have, and then we'll be hearing a lot more of that at our next board meeting, which is going to be on the 21st.
Okay, excellent. With that, Duke?
Yeah, Mr. Naso, thank you. A couple of things before we get to our presentation here. Tuesday was, of course, Cinco de Mayo, so for all of us with Hispanic extraction, congratulations on that day. I know it was very busy over at our local Grand Fiesta over here. It was also National Teachers Day, and I wanted to say thank you to all of our folks, even our administrators, that work so hard to give our kids a good education, and thank them for all the hard work that goes into it. My kids are both teachers, so I understand how much preparation goes into delivering classes every day, and I appreciate everything that you do, and I know the rest of the board does as well. I know we have a lot of our folks, our ladies from OPSI here tonight from our food services department, and I welcome them. And I know you're interested in what we're going to have a presentation from the Chartwell's folks tonight, and I wanted to let you know how that kind of came about. One Sunday morning, when I was given a little bit of a kitchen pass from my better half, I was watching a news program, and one of the things that came on, there was a doctor who came on, and he made reference to a new food services program, or one that he'd seen in fact, it was in New Jersey. And I was curious as to what was going on with that, because we've wrestled as a board for well over 2 years, along with Jill, in terms of our finances, because as you know, it's very difficult to put out a good meal for the kids at a reasonable cost, given all the guidelines that we have to maintain, just like we were talking about Chick-fil-A here with their stuff. So I watched this, and I was very impressed and enthusiastic with what was presented to the children at these particular schools. Now, and it was like, you know, fresh food all kinds of fresh stuff. And it looked like the kids were very enthusiastic about what was being served. It looked like the folks who were preparing the food were very enthusiastic about what they were able to do. And so I checked into it further and checked around a little bit and managed to talk to Molly, who's here tonight, Molly Curran from Chartwells, which was the program that was featured on this television show. They serve, I think, close to 3 million, maybe over 3 million school children with their K-12 food programs. And I've asked them, realizing that this is informational only tonight, this is just an informational briefing that we've requested as a board, to take a look at what is possible, what's being done in other schools. There are several schools in northeastern Ohio that are already using their service. Certainly there are competitors to them, and you may be aware of several of them, and certainly our board has not committed to anybody at this point. We're strictly asking what can be done, what is done. One of the things that I think Molly would go into more in here, one of the things that I liked was that our current workforce would not be displaced in any way, shape, or form by this program. Should we choose to do it that way, we can maintain our current OPSI contract and our current OPSI workers to continue with some benefits from the program. Should we decide to go with Chartwells, they actually bring in professionals that do training. They also can bring in new equipment, which is very exciting. And I think that it might present us with some options that we haven't had, given the constraints of the nutritional guidelines and also of the pre-prepared food that we're forced into using a lot of times, when I know probably every one of you ladies could produce a heck of a good meal if you had the time and the resources to do it in the morning, trying to get breakfast ready and trying to get lunch ready and feed all those kids in such a short period of time. So with that, Molly, if you'd like to introduce your team members and come on up, we'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Colonel.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for allowing us to come in tonight and talk about food service management in the K-12 public school arena and how we might be able to help Strongsville City Schools. Let me make sure I'm set up here properly. So with me tonight is Tanira Winters. She is the district manager in the state of Ohio, so she oversees all of the food service directors and the programs within the schools. Justin Hawkins is the regional director, so he is over the Great Lakes region, which is Michigan and Ohio, and he supports Tanira. And I'm Molly Corin, I'm the business development manager. So our agenda, we were told we had approximately 30 minutes, so we're going to keep the presentation part as pithy as possible. The first thing, I'm going to show you a video. It's a 6-minute video. Next, we'll talk about who Chartwells is, Compass Group, our parent company. Justin will talk about the service capability plans. We'll talk about the benefits of using a company like ours, and if you wanted to move forward, what that would look like. And then we'll go into question and answers. Is that okay with everyone? Okay. Okay. So this didn't make the agenda, but it's worthy of a slide for sure. So we'll see what King James and Company does to bring us, see if they can bring us a winner. So this is Ronna Cass. She is our president, and I wanted to share this video with you because it gives you a good idea of who we are, what we stand for, and a nice visual of where we're at now and where we're headed.
Molly, I think if you pull that mic over, it might be better for the television audience.
Okay.
Chartwells K-12 is cooking up some change, and I couldn't be more excited to share with you some of the highlights of our re-energized focus of our Eat, Learn, Live philosophy. We decided it was time to take our team of experts and put the focus entirely on students, parents, and the communities surrounding the K-12 schools where we work and live. We're proud of our passionate team dedicated to providing nutritious and delicious foods to our students daily. From our chefs to the industry's largest network of dietitians, to our skilled operators and the fantastic lunchroom teams that literally are feeding the future. We have the ability to impact a generation, one meal at a time, and with that comes a great sense of responsibility and enthusiasm for not only ways that we can stay ahead of the trend, but plant the seeds for a lifetime of health and wellness. Our teams in the school are doing amazing things all day, every day, starting bright and early with breakfast and continuing all the way to supper in many of our locations. And we call this Eat, Learn, Live. We are designing cafes across the country to focus on great tasting and nutritious foods, specifically to fit the ways today's generation eats, from small plates to international flavors, and even recruiting them to help shape our menus. Our amazing chef and school teams are at the forefront of introducing new food and ingredients, to demonstrating cooking techniques, to school cooking classes. We're not only changing what they order, but how they order. Students can even text in orders. We created a robust nutrition education program, but that's just the beginning. We teach kids about new ingredients, sustainability, and even involve them in the process of growing their own foods in school gardens, where they plant, nurture, harvest, and then eat and enjoy the fruits and vegetables. How hyper-local can you get? We're passionate about where we live and work and support our communities by sourcing local ingredients, rewarding students with scholarships, creating after-school programs, and holding health and wellness fairs.
The thing I like most about our new cafeteria is it's a casual dining setting for our students. When they come in, there's going to be less stress, more at ease, as they're easy, and it's just created an overall improvement.
Well, I just like that there's so much variety in the school, and then I also get some vegetables, please.
As a vegetarian, I have a lot more options. Like now I just don't have to just have pizza. It's like everything, and yeah, it's really good.
And helping create more positive change are three partners that can really help us make a difference in our school communities and bring to life our Eat, Learn, Live philosophy.
At Nutrisize, we are thrilled to partner with Chartwell's K-12 and provide them with tools, powerful tools, that help them connect and engage with parents and students that enjoy their foods across the country. Through our exclusive partnership, we've also simplified operations. We've integrated Nutrisize with Chartwell's proprietary nutrition banking management. This makes it simple and easy to provide schools with the nutrition and allergy information they're looking for. Whether they're on their smartphone, surfing the web, or in a cafe looking at a television, they're able to view engaging and informative content about the foods we serve. What this means is smarter lunchrooms. Kids have real-time access to menu and nutrition information at their fingertips. It's really powerful. We hear great stories from parents who tell us that the information that the tools provide is helpful and informative. Students talk about how they try new healthy foods and are more knowledgeable about ingredients. And schools love how easy it is to provide an innovative consumer experience. Together we see this as just the beginning of where this technology and partnership can take us.
We are so thrilled and proud to be partnering with Chartwell's. The mission of both of our organizations to engage students in planting and harvesting foods that promote health, wellness, and sustainability for generations to come are so well aligned that this partnership is a natural and perfect fit, allowing both of us to bring school gardens, cafes, and classrooms closer together. We're working with Chartwell's across the country to develop and implement gardens tailored for each school's climate, available space, and educational opportunity. We're wired working with these schools will allow us to create impactful and sustainable gardens in any school, and provide the educational materials needed for any curriculum.
All children deserve great childhoods because our children are our future. And our studies show that nearly 1 in 3 grades 6 through 12 students experience peer-to-peer abuse, commonly known as bullying. And one of the prevalent locations where bullying behavior occurs is in the cafe. Chartwell's is a natural fit to help us promote a positive environment and message, and we couldn't be more thrilled to partner on specific education and training for food service professionals to help prevent peer abuse before it ever begins. We applaud Chartwell's interest in extending beyond nurturing appetites to also encourage change in youth behaviors, and by teaming up with Chartwell's, we have the opportunity to do both. By training food service professionals in peer abuse prevention and intervention, including abuse prevention messages within school meals, we have a real chance to
to make a positive impact. We're honored and thrilled to have such prominent and impactful partners. What this all means is in addition to great-looking cafes that students want to dine in daily and bringing our chefs to the forefront with delicious, nutritious foods, we're helping to reshape the overall student experience and energize our communities. I couldn't be more proud of what our teams have achieved and will accomplish for our schools, communities, and ultimately the next generation. It's what we call Eat, Learn, Live.
Okay, thank you, Rana. So Rana is responsible for the division Chartwell's K-12 public schools. And Chartwell's, we operate 6,000 schools within the United States. We have over 475 districts in which we operate within. Within the Great Lakes region, we have 160 school districts. We have 12 in the state of Ohio, and we are a division of Compass Group. Compass Group. It is a very large company. It's a division of companies, mostly culinary, each specializing in their own particular expertise. We grow each year organically by $1 billion. To keep up with our growth, we employ about 60,000 employees a year. We are large. The sectorization piece of it is extremely important because we still must remain agile so we can respond to our clients. For instance, Justin reports, his boss reports directly to Rana. In most regions, the number of school districts is not that large, so Justin would report directly to the president. The advantage is we have the resources of all of these different companies, and we share expertise and best practices with each other. For instance, in Cleveland, well, we have 12 districts, which I mentioned, but Avon's one of them. Willoughby's another, Dublin's another. We operate the convention center. We also operate the Museum of Art. We have the Cleveland Botanical Gardens, Bank of America. That's just to name a few. You mentioned the Kentucky Derby. The Mint Juleps, we run the food program there. The Oscars, we run the food program for the Oscars. For the Cavs, we very likely do. I don't know, they never give me a complete list of where we are because it's very large. So gives you an idea of who we are and our company, and I'll let Justin talk about the service capability piece.
Thank you, Molly. Molly asked me to speak with Strongsville today about, I come from the operations side. So Tanera and I, we manage the districts. We're the people on the ground. So the service capability, for us, it's about leadership, execution, and then the results that we bring to our clients. Some of the things that I think that a food service management company brings to a school district is our ability to train the staff, the resources that we can bring to the school district. As Molly mentioned, we have a regional chef that covers our entire region. She goes around from district to district helping with events, helping train staff. We also have a regional marketing manager. We have 2 regional dietitians that support all of our districts within our Great Lakes region. Engaging in local community initiatives. Just 3 weeks ago at Dublin, was it 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago, have you ever heard of Spice Goddess on Food Network? No? So if you check out Spice Goddess on the Food Network, what we do is we partner with a lot of celebrity chefs, and she came to Dublin City Schools with us, and the home ec department had a recipe contest with all of the students at Kaufman High School within Dublin City Schools. And she came to the school, and she would act as the MC and the judge for the day for, I believe, 3 teams were selected out of 10 or 12, 26, more than that. So those are the community initiatives that a district or a company like ours can bring to the table and help a district really engulf the food service program, not just in the cafeteria, but take it out further into the district. These are some of the proprietary stations that we put in districts, and we're constantly changing these. One would be Grill Nation Tomato. These are stations that we'll put into a district based on the facilities, what we think works for the students. We don't have a cookie cutter approach. Every district has a different taste, a different flavor. So we need to tailor our menus for what works in those buildings. Middle school might like something different than the high school. I know the ladies would know that every elementary may have a favorite lunch item that may be, maybe tacos, maybe hot dogs, whatever the case is. So we tailor these programs for each district. The chef to schools that we do in the districts, that's where we bring in our chefs that we have in the districts. We have one at Willoughby. We have one at Dublin City Schools. And these chefs come into the schools and they'll spend some time with the kids in the elementary schools, middle schools. Go to the next one, Molly. And this is, you saw some of the pictures in the video. This is just an example of in an opportunity that we can upgrade the cafeteria. We'd love to be involved with that because that's our business, right? We do food service. School board, superintendent, assistant superintendent, you guys are in the business of educating students. We're in the business of feeding students. So we'd like to take our expertise and share it with you. As I mentioned, the Chef to Schools, Eat Local. We have a campaign called Simply Good. It's a marketing program in which we have food focuses on a monthly basis. And what we'll do is the food service director, regional dietitian, whoever we can get to spend some time in the cafeteria for that week, that day. We'll spend time with the kids, set up a table with some tastings and samples of off-the-wall foods that they normally wouldn't see.
Fruit and vegetable, the
red beet hummus.
Red beet hummus. Red beet hummus is something that our chefs would come up with. Quite honestly, I don't know that I would try it, but it's just trying to expand the flavors of the students, expose them to a lot more than chicken nuggets and French fries, macaroni and cheese that we're all used to seeing in school lunch programs. Sarah?
So you may wonder, how do we do this? What do we bring to the table? You have your food service director, and what's wonderful about Chartwell's is we have this huge amount of support that's behind us with all the new regulations, all the things that are constantly changing. You have to be in compliance. We have teams that help our directors because it's very difficult to manage and maneuver all these different things that are constantly changing by yourself. So we have a huge support network. Like Justin was talking, we have a chef, she'll come out, but we also have champions within the district. I have a couple of culinary champions, and these are people who work directly with the regional chef. They're also directors in the school district, in their own school district, but they may have a culinary background, but they excel and they can come and help another director and get their program running a little bit more smoothly, use their expertise. We have a marketing person, we have marketing champions. We have accounting. There's so many different things that the food service director is asked to do, and it's difficult to maneuver through all those by themselves. So we have a huge amount of support behind us. There's myself, district managers, your fellow directors. We have folks that will come in and do training, and myself, or depending on what they need training on, if it's culinary or how to present something differently. We've got the marketing, we've got the culinary, we've got an accounting controller that is helpful with accounting and maneuvering your P&L statement, and are you calculating things right. We have human resources, and then of course quality assurance and sanitation and safety is number one with us, and making sure that the food that we're producing is safe for the kids, and that the kids are eating a very healthy meal. Technology, we have Webtrition is our proprietary program that does production sheets and does our menus, and it makes sure that they're all in compliance so that the ladies in the kitchen do not have to write everything out. It's printed out for them, makes their job easier so they can focus on actually doing the menus and doing the recipes. And then customer service, we have that training and communication and working with the staff and developing good rapport with the students and staff. Some of the benefits for partnering with a food service management company. we have, as Justin said, we have the expertise in food service. That's what we do. You guys are experts in education, and you let us just manage the program so that you don't have to worry about that. It's taken off your plate, and we handle that piece for you. As Justin was talking about capital investment, if your facilities are needed to be upgraded, we're able to do that for the district, provide you interest-free money so that you can upgrade the kitchens if necessary. We bring variety and options. As you saw in the video, that's just not for the video, but that's what we do. We bring fresh foods to the kitchens. We do a variety of different foods. Depending on your space and how much you have to work with, it depends, kind of determines how many options we can provide. But we like to provide a wide variety of options for the kids because everyone likes to eat different things. So we like to provide that variety for the students so that they're excited about eating. I love to eat, and that's the best time of my day is when I'm eating. But I like to have that experience for the kids so that they enjoy what they're coming to the kitchen or to the cafe to eat. Some of the common myths that come along with the food service management company, you touched on them very, very good. The myth that the folks are going to lose their job. There's no big Chartwell's bus that comes up and dumps a bunch of people off. That does not happen. Loss of control, higher prices, reduced quality, or lack of concern for the students. The students and staff and the district's why we're here. So we always want to keep that focus on those folks. And then the process to do it is RFP development. You would just determine your goals and desired outcomes for the district. You would adjust what you wanted to do for the RFP depending on your goals and desired outcomes. Identify the key steps and completion dates, and then you send it off to the ODE, and then you review and receive and review the bids.
In closing, I would just like to say most of the time that districts look at a company like ours is when the participation's falling, when they have a director who's retiring, or if the program's not making money and they're having to pull money out of their general funds. Lately, we've been seeing a lot of districts that haven't been able to keep up with the regs. They've come really, really hard and fast, and that's been a real challenge for the districts to remain compliant to make sure that you receive all your reimbursables. And so that is usually why we're approached when we come into a district like yours. Always, 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 every single time, the quality of the program excels. What we look at across the board is a participation increase of 12 to 29% when we come into a district like this. And that's what it's all about. It's all about driving participation. Justin talked about some of the marketing things that we do, and when you're increasing participation, that means the kids are happy, they like the food, they're eating. That means the program's standing on its own, it's revenue neutral, or it's making money, and then we're making money. So that is always the goal. And as a partner with our area districts, we sit down once a month, we talk about goals, and what are the goals beyond a nutritious meal? And that's when we talk about, okay, you have a culinary program, that's what we do. Let's talk about how we can help you. You want a school garden? Okay, let's talk about that. You need scholarship dollars? You need dollars for your teachers' investments in their education. Let's talk about what you need. Let's go beyond the classroom, and that's what a real partner does. And if this is something you guys decide that you want to take a look at, we'd be happy to walk down that path with you. So thank you for your time, and questions, please. I'm sure you have a lot.
I'll start. Justin, you were kind of right and kind of wrong. I'm not an educator. Those two are. I got hired on this board as a business guy. So I was taught a very long time ago that there's two ways you make money in a business. You either spend less or you make more. Now, our staff works their tail off. And, you know, so the cost side of things is going to be, in my opinion, I'm not sure how much more you can save on our food costs. They work very hard at that. We have the same basic infrastructure. We have a contract with OPSI, which we're very proud of, and proud of the people. 12 to 24% or 12 to 20% participation increase is how we're going to pay your guys' bill. I guess for me, the numbers need to make sense. The idea has to make sense, and there's going to be a lot more discussion about this. But we're currently, and Deb, can you give me the number? How much are we short each year out of the general
It's been
fund?
between $200,000 and $300,000.
Okay. And then how many students do we have currently in our school projected for next year?
5,670.
I mean, it's, for me, again, our staff, they work hard. And I know our food service director watches every single penny. I mean, she can tell you the difference in a hot dog bun between the whole wheat that she's required to buy versus what my son wants to eat. Not what he has to eat, what he wants to eat. Again, everything sounds great. Talking about scholarships and continuing education and gardens and everything else. I'm sure maybe I could talk to a few about more people on this board, but I just want to get to revenue neutral. I want to stop taking money away from our general fund so we can start maybe talking about putting, computers in kids' hands. So, again, a lot more discussion to go, but at 12 to 20% increase in participation, I would need to see a lot more details. It's a very high number. It's a very big number. 29. That's an even bigger number. So I would need to see that. But again, good presentation, but there's a lot more questions.
Could you talk to, I assume a company as big as yours, growing by $1 billion a year, I mean, you've got to have some serious purchasing power.
Yes,
And I would think that that would be a huge advantage to us. I know we're in consortiums, but the type of food we buy is processed food. And processed food has to have a cost, right, as opposed to fresh food. I know if I buy a TV dinner at home or if I buy a piece of chicken and I cook it myself, the cost is significantly different. So I would think those would be areas where you have advantages. And could you address those to some extent for us?
Sure. That's a great point. Being that we are, I believe, a $4 billion company.
28 billion Compass.
But I mean,
is.
within Chartwell.
Chartwell, okay.
What we do in our purchasing arm, we have an arm that's called Food Buy. And that division of our company, that's all that they do, is they do procurement. And so when we negotiate our prices with our vendors, we're not negotiating with Gordon's or Cisco. We're negotiating with the manufacturers. And so when you go through the RFP process, you'll see within the RFP there's actually guidelines in which the USDA has that states any of the volume allowance rebates that we would get as a company is required to be passed on back to the school district, our partner districts. So, and I would say we budget anywhere from 10 to 12% if you take your gross purchasing for food. Our rebates usually come in 10 to 12% is what we budget on a yearly basis. Again, depending on what products are being used in the district and to what extent. But that's a good piece that we can bring to the school district. And not only just with the manufacturers, but with, Tenera has a partnership with, remind me the name of the orchard? Bauman Orchards. And again, since we are purchasing his apples, we're not just purchasing from one school district, we're purchasing for all of the districts and within their arm's reach. So we can negotiate a little better price. Same with the dairies, the bread companies. When we put our bids out for within our region for milk, it's for 160 school districts. And you're right, volume can afford us to get a better price.
What about everyone talks about the steroids that are in food and what, I don't know what the term is. What is it? My wife always tells me, but it's
slow food.
It's not genetically altered food. It's
GMOs.
GMO.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something that's part of your program, or
yeah, it's
that might be more expensive part of your program. So I mean, when you're trying to break even, you don't want to, may not want to go GMO, but.
That adds to the cost of the program.
Okay.
And as I'm sure if you've watched the media over the past couple of years, there's been a heightened awareness of GMOs and natural foods. And because of the guidelines in which the USDA has set out for the National School Lunch Program, I would say up until 2010 it hadn't been changed. Yep. So food service programs went the direction of more processed foods. We are trying to get those out of our system as best we can, but there's a balance between every kid loves a chicken nugget, and not every kid likes beet hummus. So.
I don't like beet hummus.
Never had it.
I'm not eating it either.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
So when you go into other school districts, from going to a more fresh food approach, as you're sharing, we're very thin on our labor hours. So just conceptually thinking, more fresh food, more prep time, labor hours. How has that worked in your experience of going in Avon or Wickliffe or Willoughby, whichever district you said, in terms of, because I would assume we're not all that different from other districts in terms of labor hours. How do you fit it all in with a breakfast program, with a lunch program, increasing variety, increasing fresh food, increasing in-house preparation within labor hour constraints?
Oh, that's a great question. Every district has a different scenario, especially with their labor hours. What we do is we'll take a look at the program when you go through the RFP process, and we go on a bid tour on your pre-bid meeting, and we would determine based on what we see is being prepared. We'd look at the menus, and if we feel either if we need to add labor or if maybe labor could be used more effectively in a different building, we would make those changes. Of course, with the approval of the school district, we would take a recommendation to the district. Several different scenarios. But when we first started in a district, the first thing is we need to train the staff, get them up to speed on how to cut a carrot, because since they are so short on labor hours, it gets to the point where maybe, and I'm not saying that this may be the case for the ladies here, but some ladies will forget how to actually produce food, and so we take them back to the beginning and we start over. It's a fresh slate, and we work together to come up with ways and solutions to make it fit either within the current hours, or if we need to add or readjust in a different building based on the scenario.
Didn't Brecksville switch over to all fresh food? I mean, aren't they mostly? I don't think they went to an outside program, but I thought they went to all. All the meals are prepared there, and they found a way to do it. But I don't know. Maybe they spend more on it. I have no idea. But it's interesting. Richard?
You mentioned Willowick, I believe.
Willoughby, Lake.
Avon, and Avon Lake. How long have you been in?
Just Avon.
Avon. I
Yep.
apologize. How long have you been there?
Avon for 10.
Avon, 19 years.
Okay.
Willoughby, Eastlake, this was our first year. We just
Okay.
awarded that one.
And any others in Northeast Ohio?
Richmond Heights,
Okay. How long?
15 years.
Great. I mean, I think I can echo everyone else's comments. There's food for thought here. We need to drill down on it. But the ability, the idea to improve our product, to improve our participation, and to get a better control of the costs. I don't think we need to think about it very deeply, that we at least want to get more information. So thank you.
Jane?
Oh, no, thank you. It was a great presentation, and appreciated it. But I did want to highlight, our current food services director knows all the regulations, like we've said, and she's phenomenal. And, maybe if you can have some partnership that might work out, it could be beneficial.
Molly, if you could, I would like you to just cover, since the ladies came here tonight, took the time to come out, talk a little bit about how you deal with existing labor, and the options that we have to continue them under their current employment circumstances with the district, even though you guys may come in and manage the food service.
Yeah, sure. Hi, ladies.
Microphone.
Hi, ladies. I'm Molly. So when we come into a district, and this is something that the district decides that they want to put out an RFP, the district protects you through the RFP process. So what they do is, in the RFP, it is stated that anyone who bids on the proposal, presents a proposal, must include all the employees at their current rates, at their current rate of pay, current number of hours, benefits, everything else. And so when bids are brought forth, that is included in that cost. The district also, the board decides if they want to keep you on their payroll or they want to move you over to our payroll or a combination of both. So this is a decision that the board makes, and it is their call. And what we typically see, almost always see, is the board wants to retain every single one of you because they see the value that you bring. You guys know the kids, you guys know the district. You are invaluable. You're one of their, you are their number one resource. The employees here are the number one resource. And so that is the process, and it is the board's decision. It is not our decision. Anything else, Justin, you would like to add to that, Tanira?
No, I think that, again, since it is the board's decision, it's the company's, I guess, job to respond to that. And so when we go through the contract process, after the proposals have been presented, we have to contractually, the USDA guidelines require us to stick with what was in the RFP, you know, based on the guidelines that the district sets in the request for proposal.
Okay, thank you.
I have another question. So if the proposal were to maintain, I mean, not if, the proposal, say the proposal that we'd be interested maintains the current staffing, current everything, right?
Yep.
So then the cost, so then labor costs are essentially fixed, right? So they're the same. They're given in both equations, right? So then the next, you know, the next big variable would be food costs. And then, and I'm certain, I know we have very good detail on our cost per meal. And I know that you guys have probably better data on your cost per meal. And so that we could compare that to see how that shakes out based on your purchasing power and the meals you would provide. You put in an assumption for increased participation anywhere you could ratchet it. You could make it a variable in the equation and ratchet it up from 15 to 29%. Say you pick a number in the middle, maybe 20% or something like that. So then you've got that. It seems to me that we could quickly. That was me thinking. Light bulb. No, just kidding. I forgot what I was saying now. So it seems like we could put together an equation that would quickly show the benefits of your program.
Financially.
Financially, you know, and then there's all kinds of ancillary. There's all kinds of soft benefits to the district. Better food. I mean, I eat with my daughter. We do the best we can with what we have, but it's really not that good. And it's none of their fault. It's just these guidelines that they have are just awful. I mean, they take out all the salt, they take out the fat, they take out everything that you'd want to eat. That's good. All this, you know, and you end up with essentially styrofoam with some breading on it. And that's what we're forced to do. But so I would think that you could provide us with some type of equation like that with a little bit of data on our side. We could compare. You could just show us a representative district with labor hours and that kind of stuff that we could see possibly to do some type of evaluation, just to know if we're in the ballpark. Because I mean, if we can get in the ballpark, then we can get, then it starts to make sense. But if all of a sudden we look at it, it's like, this doesn't make any sense, you know.
Yeah. What we do is we build a pro forma, a baseline of your business. So we would look at your labor, we would look at your claim forms, and we would look at some other details also that tell us about your program, your food costs, and other sorts of things. And it would tell us where you're at, and then, like you said, we would inject our numbers where we know it's appropriate. We're always conservative because we don't want to overstate those, and then they would get in trouble.
Sales
operating. I know that drill. How are we going to do that?
Mr. Naso, if I might interject, I don't know these Chartwell staff members, but I was the treasurer at Richmond Heights 19 years ago and put the RFP together, and I would say that was as large as the bid spec book for the middle school new construction. They want to see all of your food bills for a lengthy period of time, all the state reimbursable reports and all that. So they need to see a lot of data that goes into that RFP in order to come up with a good proposal and all of that. So they will see our labor costs, our food costs, what our receipts are by building, by month, look at the menus, all of that. It's a very intensive process to put a good RFP together to get the companies to bid on.
Okay. I mean, I'm just thinking of just like a high-level analysis before we would get to that stage, but I'm just wondering if that's something I would think that'd be the next step. Not to mention that an RFP means that it goes out to everybody, not just to Chartwell, and you can't have any.
State requires
You can't
that.
have any,
Correct.
head start against anybody, but we appreciate the information. But that's what I'd like to see. As an accountant, I'd like to see something like that if you have it.
And only thing I would add to the final end of this thing is, and being a hypothetical, yes, it's about the money. Yes, it's about covering that gap. But if we're going to look at numbers, we also need to look at some capabilities, or just we need to make sure we put some of our food service people in the same box with whoever we're thinking about, adding value to our program, and seeing how everybody, how they play along. There is a human factor to that. I mean, taking a look from the top down.
It's all numbers, buddy.
Yeah. It's the people that make this district run.
Yep.
It's the people, the teachers, the staff, who take care of our children, my child. So if we're gonna do that, I agree. But I think there should be some FaceTime, some interaction between not just the head of our food services, but also some of the people that have been in this district and understand. And everybody's gonna have to have some open minds. Someone's gonna have to find some positives and some negatives. And
I'm just talking about a high-level assessment.
Okay.
I mean, just like I think the next step then would be to get, time studies done and that kind of stuff. Absolutely. They would have to be part of the whole team, whatever that is. I mean, they would be.
I just think that
They would be the team, for God's sake. I mean, for a second.
we do a high-level look at it. I just think that as we do that, I'd also like to get some opinions from the people that are in staff as well. Just for a quick snapshot, quick look.
Yep.
Just to
Makes
get some
sense.
interaction going. That's all.
Cool.
Duke, thanks for bringing this up to us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good work. Good work. Thank you. Any other questions? No? Good. Thank you very much. Any others? No need for executive session.
Yes, we do. We have executive
Oh,
session.
come
I'm sorry, Mr. Naso.
On what?
I'm so close.
No. What if we say no?
We have, you can say that.
We can. We
I'm
moved.
requesting an executive session
Denied.
under appointment, employment, compensation of an employee or official, and also under reviewing negotiations. We promise to be brief.
So moved.
And pending litigation.
And pending litigation.
It's still moved.
Second.
Review negotiations and, litigation, okay. Okay, I'm there.
I have one motion. I have a second.
I give it to you.
George, second.
I moved. George seconded.
Got it. We need a vote.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Micko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
No.
Mr. Grozen?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
You're outvoted, Carl.
We'll move into executive session at 8:25.
There'll be no public action.
8:25. We're going right in right now.
And there'll be no public
There'll
action.
be no public after.